just take some time, Little Bill. Everything will be alright, alright.
All right. Welcome to the show where we chat, argue, and wax poetic about the movies that we love, hate, or that are simply worth talking about. All stories have something to say, and we love analyzing what they capture. Welcome to the latest edition of The Chatter After. Guys, Supergirl's dropped. Summer of Supergirl. Last year we did Summer of Superman. We got to run it back. Starring Millie Alcock, directed by Craig Gillespie. This is a loose adaptation of the Tom King miniseries Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, a comic that both Nate and I have read, so we can kind of offer our perspectives on that adaptation. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the movie, and we're going to talk about what this means going forward in the future of the DCU, because Nate, on Insider Chatter, we would always talk about what the future of this franchise is going to be, because this is the first project not directed by James Gunn.
Yeah.
This is the first project not written by James Gunn. Like, we can talk about how much we loved Superman and how good Creature Commandos was, and how, you know, even though it was a little bit bumpy here and there, we did enjoy Peacemaker Season 2. What are your thoughts on the first DCU entry where James Gunn is just a producer?
You know what movies I thought a lot about? And I think this movie is better. Don't get me wrong. I thought a lot about Black Adam.
Oh, gosh.
Things will never be the same because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
I thought a lot about that. I thought a lot about, and I think it's because you mentioned it to me before, Thor: The Dark World. I think this movie's better than that. And I thought about a lot about, like, a lot of these Phase 2 Marvel MCU movies, or like when the DCEU was like acting like it was a thing, but it really wasn't. And I think this movie's better than those movies. I think there's certain things that I actually thought are better than the movies being given credit for, with not feeling like set up. Like, it felt contained enough. But I was just like, this was fine, but I'm also probably gonna forget a lot of this movie in like a week, you know?
It's funny because I was texting you the day I saw it, and I was already forgetting on like things that happened in the movie as we were talking. Because I'm like, oh, there was a really weird needle drop. And you're like, what was the name of the song? I'm like, I don't even remember, dude. This movie's already left my brain.
Oh, I'll always remember that needle drop. That's one thing.
I think we can start at the top of this movie. So for those who don't know, this is following Kara Zor-El, Superman's cousin. She's celebrating her 23rd birthday, and she's kind of on a bender right now. She is not going through it. She has no people. She has no home. Krypton exploded, and unlike Clark, she had to experience the death and destruction around her. One thing that I think is also, sorry, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the movie, spoilers are going to be in this review.
You really spoil this movie, though.
Not really, but also, I know none of you have watched it. The box office is suggesting that the people watching this video did not watch this movie. So if you care, come back later, but I know y'all don't, because y'all didn't go see it anyway. So Supergirl is drunk. She's at bars, partying on planets with red suns, so she can actually get drunk, which means she has no powers. We see a girl named Ruthie. Her parents and her brother get killed by Krim of the Yellow Hills, who is in the comics like just a space pirate. In this one, he's like a sex trafficker. I don't know.
Yeah. In the comics, he's just like a shirtless Scottish man who kills people and goes across the galaxy.
Yeah.
This movie, I don't know what he is.
I don't know. He looks like a reject from the Ravagers.
He reminds me of Taserface in Guardians 2, but like unironic.
Yes.
Unironic Taserface. Taserface in Guardians 2 was ironic, and that was the joke of him.
Yeah, I feel like aesthetically, just to get this out the way, aesthetically, this movie misses the mark a lot.
Yeah.
Not because it's blatantly ignoring what the comic book looked like. We've talked about that before, where it's like that's very much more high fantasy, and this is more like dirty sci-fi, Mad Max style sci-fi. Even if it's going to embrace that, I think the problem is that it looks too much like Guardians of the Galaxy. Space in this movie looks like Guardians of the Galaxy. It looks like we're on nowhere. They even got called out because they reused a design of an alien that was from Star Wars. Did you see that controversy?
No, I didn't.
So whichever studio that was working on the effects for this movie, one of the aliens from a Star Wars like art book, it's a character that never actually appeared in a movie, I don't think. But like they reused the asset. And so everybody's like, why is this Star Wars character in Supergirl? And that to me just speaks to how uninspired this movie is visually. If you look like a Star Wars character or you're reusing Star Wars assets, this movie has no identity of its own.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah, no, they did look like a Star Wars character. I'm
going to try and share my screen and pull it up.
I figured that was the one that you were referencing. And I think I came across that discourse, but I just thought people were saying, oh, it looks like a Star Wars character. I didn't know it was literally a Star Wars character.
It was literally a Star Wars character. Here, I just Googled, and you guys can do this too. I just Googled Star Wars Supergirl. So this character pops up over here in the Supergirl movie. But what's crazy is they put the character in a Supergirl art book. And everybody was like, hey, that's from like a Star Wars art book. Why is this on the Supergirl book? So they digitally removed this character from the Supergirl art book. What we didn't know was that this character was in the Supergirl movie.
Yeah.
So they couldn't remove it from the Supergirl movie. And it became this whole thing where it's like, that's just peak laziness. And I'm not trying to sound like a hater, because I did enjoy this movie for the most part. Mm-hmm. But I think lazy is the biggest detriment to this film, is that it feels the universe feels uninteresting and like we've been here a million times. The character designs are being reused assets. We misunderstood the point of the comic book in general, but we'll get to all that later. What are your thoughts on Ruthie's introduction? I'm sorry, what were you about to say?
I was going to say, if this came out in like 2017, 2016, I think we'd probably be singing a different tune.
Yeah.
It's now, like as I was watching the movie, I'm like, yeah, it's in one year, out the other. Under Ruthie. So we had kind of different thoughts on this. And I will say, because we talked about this before, I thought the first two acts were very solid. I was like, wow, am I watching a different movie than everybody else? But then you brought up the point. We both read that comic. We knew more about Ruthie's past. I take that out. I saw the movie with my friend who hasn't read the comic. He knows about it. He's very well versed in like DC. He's reading Absolute Batman and was telling me in the car, why haven't you read that yet? I was thinking, I'm like, does he know the backstory of this character? Like, what if I didn't know who Ruthie was? And it's like, we get like no like backstory about her or really like anything about her emotional state. We just know she's kind of driven by vengeance. We don't know anything about her family, versus in the comic, they give us like anecdotes, about her past. Yeah. Even just talking about how she washes her hands.
In the comic, for those who haven't read it, Ruthie's the narrator of the story. So that automatically kind of reframes how you're interpreting this book, because instead of it being a story where we're following Supergirl, we are now following this girl who had this interaction with Supergirl, went on this one adventure with Supergirl. And I think just that subtle changing of the framing of it, I think makes Ruthie that much more necessary, I guess, to the narrative, because in this version of the story, you're right. Like the movie opens up and we meet this random girl and her family gets killed in the weirdest way possible. I don't know what her brother was doing. I don't get that scene at all.
Why was he like excited jumping out? He was like, yeah,
like I feel like he just wanted to like jump scare his sister, I guess. That's how I interpreted it. He was just like doing dumb brother stuff. But it's like, does he not see the terror on her face as Krim is sitting at the kid? Like he read the room wrong and he died instantly. I don't know. It was weird. The entire setup, I think, was just like kind of poor.
Yeah.
But you do, like, her family does die, so you do understand why she wants revenge. But I feel like in the book, it makes more sense because I guess it validates her being on the adventure. In the movie, we play it straight up where it's like Kara is only in this to save Crypto, but Crypto only gets injured because of Ruthie. So it's like we should just ditch Ruthie at every point in this story. That's where I think the difference comes from.
Sidelined in this movie versus in the comic, she's like you're saying, it's almost even more her story than Supergirl's in that comic. Yeah. And I mean, it's like there's equally. And in this, it's like I kind of forgot she was there half the time.
Yeah.
Or I was just like, oh yeah, that's Ruthie, you know? And I thought the actress, I think her name is Eve Ridley, she was good. Like, I just think the way this movie is edited, because you could tell there's a lot that's been like cut and chopped up. I think it does her a disservice.
Yeah, she was really good.
No, yeah. Like, even in her final scene, like where she's just standing outside and Supergirl's, you know, bidding farewell. Like, it was great in that scene. Like, she didn't feel flat or anything. But I felt
like the prison break where she tricks the guard and she like chokes him out, and Jason Momoa's commentary is just like, I knew you were feisty, I knew you had it in you. And it's just like, okay, this she has the capability to pull all this off, and she sells it really well. Eve really is really good in this movie. I just wish we gave her more to do. I did also want to talk about Lobo. I feel like that's another big character that we need to reference.
We might have different thoughts on this.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Lobo? Jason Momoa's dream role.
I liked him. I thought he was fun. You know, he was used sparingly enough. But you know, I thought he looked like Lobo. He had like the humor. I didn't think the humor was too forced. I think the humor in this movie was all over the place. None of the jokes landed. I think the one joke that kind of landed was actually from like Lobo, which was the scene you're just referring to, where he's like, I knew you had that in you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he was cool. I kind of wish we had more of him as well.
Yeah.
Like how he saves Kara at the ending. I'm like, I kind of thought we were past this in superhero movies nowadays. Like that kind of setup.
We'll talk about this later, because I don't want to derail the whole review and talk about the future of these things, but it's weird to me that he's in this at all, because he's not in the comic. No. And I'm struggling to see what purpose he serves in this movie.
No.
I think Jason Momoa does fine. I think Lobo as a character it's whatever. I feel like if we're gonna have a story about a bounty hunter like Lobo, and then we're hunting down someone like Krem, put a bounty on Krem's head. Like, I feel like you should have changed it to where like Lobo was hunting Krem, and now Lobo is an obstacle because he's gonna kill him, and Kara needs him to get the antidote to save Crypto. Like just instantly make his existence make more sense. Or maybe Ruthie goes to Lobo because Kara rejects her. And now Kara's like, well, I need to get her away from Lobo because Lobo's the worst. And that now, you know, I don't know. I just don't think he needed to be here. What we got was fine, but also every one of his scenes could have been cut.
Yeah. Like, I don't think, like, I've heard people saying it's like, oh, he was not like good in this role. I'm like, I don't think that. I think it's just, I thought he was perfectly fine. I think it's just more of how he was used in this movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like you said, he could have been cut. He added nothing to it. Like, you could have had him be almost like the third in the trio, like you said, or even like, that's what I figured what would happen when they announced Lobo. I was like, oh yeah, he'll be just like there will be a bounty on Krem, and that's how he'll come in. And then Supergirl's like, no, he's mine. And he's like, no, he's mine, blah, blah, blah. That's what I thought would happen. But now he just kind of pops in.
The bounty was on one of Krem's henchmen. It was so strange. It's a guy who like barely had any lines, and he's just like, oh, got my bounty, and then he leaves. It's like, huh? It's so strange. I'm gonna stop complaining about the things that didn't work in this movie, because again, I did enjoy it for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to talk about Billy Alcock's performance as Kara Zor-El, because I think it's by far the best in this film.
Yeah,
she's just great. I think she like this is a hard role to balance because she's clearly troubled and is carrying a lot of pain because of Argo City and Krypton being destroyed, but she's still a good person, and being able to pull off the I don't care nonchalant, but also I do care and I want to help, like, fine line there could have come across as just like her being a terrible character. I think she walks the tightrope pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah. I would agree. I think she was just perfectly cast from the get-go. I do not get some of the hate, but I think everybody who has seen this movie has said, even if they hated the movie, they're like, no, she's great in this. Like, I think that's a general consensus of her portrayal. It's like, we want more of her, just not like this. Not in this kind of movie, you know, because she does the burnout really well. She really does a good job of like distinguishing herself from David Corenswet's Superman, which I actually thought the best scenes in the movie were her arriving on Earth and interacting with David Corenswet. And I think that's just because Corenswet is so perfect as Superman.
I got like my hot take is I got so mad every time Corenswet appeared on screen, because now I'm like, I'd rather just see this. I'd rather just see like have her appear on Earth, have her not know what Earth is, like not speak English, and like make this the movie, make this like a buddy movie with the two cousins. Instead, I get dragged back into whatever's happening in space.
Yeah.
Like, every time Corenswet showed up, I'm like, gosh, he's so good. I wish he was here more.
But she's really good. And I mean, I think because she's still like young, you know, she's only in her like, well, I guess she's our age, but at the same time, that's young for who traditionally headlines a superhero movie nowadays, you know? And I mean, she still has like this kind of bitter part of herself that's like grizzled, but it feels believable, you know, despite her youthfulness. And I like that. And I kind of thought a lot, I saw somebody I compare her to like Brie Larson and Captain Marvel, and I'm like, I don't think that's the case, because it's like Brie Larson is a phenomenal actress. Just watch Room. She won an Oscar. Captain Marvel was something that I thought, you know, would have been good casting, but I just don't think like blockbuster movies are for her. Like, I think, you know, when you surround her by green screen, she's just, there's something like off. Versus Millie Alcock, I felt like she felt like comfortable in the role. Yeah. Like she really embraced it and wasn't like flat or anything. Like I think any emotion that I felt was driven by her performance in the movie. Not the script, not the direction, but just, you know, her.
For sure. Yeah. She is such a force, and I believed all of those flashbacks. For me, my favorite scenes were the Argo City flashbacks with her and Zor-El. I have to make sure I get him confused with. Yeah, he's great. He's great, actually. He's everything we want Jor-El to be, which I appreciate that they committed to the bit where they just have a throwaway line of like, they're sending Kal-El to be a dictator or something. I don't know. Something weird. But yeah, like I love the Argo City stuff because she sells it. She's speaking a language that doesn't even really exist. Like they have them all speaking Kryptonese, which is not a real language, and she's able to sell it so easily. Even her scenes with Superman when she first lands, she sells it easily. Like she's just muttering to herself, "Why is he in his underpants?" in a fake language, and it's great, and I buy it. She truly carries this movie. Her and Eve Ridley also have really good chemistry.
Yeah,
with like Kara and Ruthie do have good chemistry. I just again wish that we gave them more to do in this story. Yeah. Any other thoughts before we start picking this thing apart? I feel like we're about to rip it to shreds because I have some quotes I'm going to pull
I do want to say and I mentioned this earlier, the first like hour of this movie, I was like, am I seeing a different movie than everybody else did? This is actually pretty good. It's not flawless. I see the nitpicks, but I'm like, this is a real good time. And I didn't see like, because everybody was saying like visually this movie was ugly. And I'm like, this does not look even visually that bad. Because I went in with very, very low expectations after everything I had heard, you know. And watching it, I was like, this is not bad at all. This is like, you know, I went into Black Adam with like very low expectations, and those expectations were met. Versus with like from the jump. Versus this, I was like, oh, this was like succeeding my expectations pretty early on, and then that third act happens.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, this is what they meant. And that needle drop.
Let's talk about the needle drop, because this is the. Give me 1 second, actually, here as I pull that up.
I did want to bring up, though, did you see the interview with Craig Gillespie? You told me to look it up, and as we were going live, you know, he didn't even look at he didn't read the comic.
I saw that, and that made me so mad. So basically, if you have the quote, you can read it directly. I don't want to misquote him. Like, I want to give him a fighting chance if we can. Otherwise, I will paraphrase what he said.
Okay, he was like, I deliberately didn't look at Tom King's book when I first got the script. I went off of Anna's script. And there was grit to that. And I really wanted it to come from character.
Basically, he's like, I wanted to just go off of the script and go off of that and not have any influence from the comic. Which explains why I never liked how this movie looked. If you go back and watch our videos of me complaining about the visual style of the trailers, I'm like, they completely missed the mark. And I now get it, because if you were just reading the script, yeah, his vision of space, he envisioned Mad Max when it should have been Lord of the Rings.
And it's a shame, because I think Craig Gillespie is a real good director. He's had some misses, but like,
yeah,
I, Tonya is awesome. The movie's excellent. That might be Margot Robbie's best performance. Like, and he directed that. He is Lars and the Real Girl, Ryan Gosling, you know. Great movie. I actually really like Cruella, is with Emma Stone, which when the trailers came out, I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we making a movie about a puppy killer and making her girl boss? The movie wasn't that. I mean, in some ways it was, but it was still like way better than it had any right to be, you know, and it had a style to it. Like, it was set in the fashion world and it felt fashionable. I never thought of him for a superhero movie.
Yeah, so Craig Gillespie he's an interesting choice. I wanted your thoughts on like the action of this movie, because while he's a good director, did you think he handled the action scenes well?
No.
Hard no.
The one good scene that I kind of liked was on the bus with like the space pirates. I thought that was kind of entertaining.
That was clever.
That was like fun.
The Seth Rogen cameo was random.
He's worked with Seth Rogen a lot, so he probably was just like, I need somebody to voice this weird little alien dude.
That might be the best joke in the movie, where he's just like, I could if I had an engine and balls, but I have neither.
Yeah. He was funny. He was cute. But
I don't think the action sequences were that good.
No.
Especially because, again, like Superman's was actually like really fun and dynamic just a year ago.
You know, Superman felt like the comic book movies of like the early 2000s, like Spider-Man or the first two like X-Men movies, where it had this kind of almost like pulpiness to it that felt fun, you know, and not just, there was a lot of CGI in Superman, but at the same time, it felt old-fashioned compared to all the other superhero like fight scenes we see. And like, and look, I like Fantastic Four, but like compare that to like Fantastic Four, or compare that to, you know, Brave New World, or compare that to, you know, The Flash or Aquaman 2, like all of those. Like Superman felt very distinct, in a way that it felt refreshing. Versus this, I'm like, I'm watching another superhero movie that I'm gonna forget.
I feel like this movie is probably more troubled than we initially realized, because, like you said, Craig Gillespie never read the book, which I guess shout out to having blind faith in Ana Noguera as a writer and just going straight off of what she wrote. I feel like we have to start asking some very serious questions, like, and I hate to be that guy to bring up the receipts, but when James Gunn is adamant of, we only greenlight things when we have a good script, it's only going to get made if the script is great, and the script was not good. I'm just going to be upfront.
Was it just that it was done? You know?
Right.
I think like, that, yeah.
The fact that this is our second DC movie, like it sounds like they fast tracked it because they loved what was written. What happened? Was this killed in the editing room? Is that what happened?
So, I think some of that, and I think Craig Gillespie was just not a good fit for the director. And I feel like that's, again, James Gunn. And look, I love James Gunn. I'm a massive fan of a lot of what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's always been very adamant about supporting the comics and being, you know, not like loyal or like faithful, but like supporting them and everything. Don't you think he would have like recommended that Craig Gillespie read the comic? This is what's so strange to me about the entire behind the scenes. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes at DC, but yet you think he would advise him to read the comic. You think that Ana Noguera would understand the comic, because spoilers, Krim dies in this movie, and in the comic they make a choice to not kill him. Here's a quote coming from Variety. They were speaking to her about this choice, and she says, quote, "The ending between Kara and Krim was always in it from the pitch, truly from the very beginning, because the comic ends with Ruthie killing him, but in the far, far future." I'm just going to stop the quote right there, because that's not what happens in the book. They don't kill Krim in the book. And this is where the movie starts to fall apart. It falls apart a lot earlier, but like one of the biggest issues I have is that Kara is preaching this idea of, if you kill him, you become just as bad. You're going to carry this weight, blah, 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 blah. The usual superhero, we don't kill speech. Every superhero movie we get it. And I think Deadpool was the first Deadpool was one of the only times that it was used well.
Yeah. But then she kills him. And it's like, that defeats the point of your speech. Like, even if we had a scene where Kara's like, I don't want Ruthie to carry this hate, so I'm going to carry it for her. And she like takes the high road and like spares the kid from having to do it. We didn't even add that scene. It was just a fundamental misunderstanding of the comic book. And so it makes me question, one, did James Gunn read the comic book? Two, Tom King is in the writer's room on all this stuff. Did he just miss the meeting where they misunderstood the ending of his comic? Right? Like,
it's like, we've been in here for a while. I'm going to take a power nap.
Wake me up when we are back on Mr. Miracle, guys. That's the one I'm show running. Like, it's so strange to, like, I would have rather if Anna in the interview said, we decided to change it. It's like, okay, but if you're telling me that you fundamentally misunderstood the comic, that's insane. That's legitimately insane.
I don't think it's a James Gunn problem, because I mean, I do believe him that he read that comic. Because why else would he greenlight? You mentioned this before. No superhero movie is directly like adapting a run quite like this movie is doing. You know,
attempted to do at least, yeah.
Yeah, like there's
so many adaptations that are very loosely adapted when it comes to bringing these characters to life. And so Supergirl, taking like her most iconic story probably of the modern era, and like just ignoring the parts that make it worth reading. Like, it's supposed to be this huge, epic, sprawling adventure story, and we narrow it down to 3 days. Like, the book takes the place over the course of months. I know it is a movie, so we can't take everything from the comic, but I think it's a crime that this movie is like just a shade over 90 minutes long. Like this probably should have been a 2-hour, 20-minute, like big adventure film, right?
Yeah, and there's scenes in this movie that are directly from the comic still.
Yeah.
But they felt like minor scenes versus, what was like important.
The Green Sun planet feels like a footnote when that was like a crazy deal in the third act of the book.
Yeah, like that was like depressing and like it felt heavy in that book. Like it made me feel like, damn, I didn't expect to feel things reading this. I just expect to have a good time and be kind of wowed, and now I'm feeling like existential. Or like
that's every Tom King book. Buckle up for Mr. Miracle, buddy.
The planet where they stay at the hotel, where it's like the blues and purples.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember when I was reading it, I was like, this feels so James Gunny. And then that's not in there. Or like just everything about it, just
it's reheated nachos. I think that's the biggest depressing thing, is that like visually it looks like things that we've seen before. Narratively, it's so by the numbers, and then they created their own plot holes. Like in the comic, I'm sorry that I'm spoiling this book, but in the comic, Krypto's not really in any danger.
No.
And so it's like, oh, Kara's doing this because she wants to protect Ruthie, and like, like she's looking out for her. She made an excuse, essentially.
That is one change I actually, even though as a dog lover, that's one change I kind of get with doing from the book.
The change itself isn't bad. I think to me, the reason it becomes an issue is that it's what starts the timer of it has to be 3 days to give it urgency. We have Krypto lying there for months. But also, Clark is calling her throughout the movie at every point in time. Have him pick up the dog, take him to the Fortress of Solitude. They will fix him up.
Yeah.
Like,
good point.
Like once Krypto's in real danger and we have a ticking clock, it's like the cousin who keeps bugging you on your birthday, ring him up.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, okay, we created a issue that didn't need to be here necessarily. I wanted to bring up another quote. This is from Christopher Nolan. This has nothing to do with anything happening with the production of this movie, but he just randomly said in the New York Times, the biggest risk blockbuster films can take is by playing it safe. If it doesn't work, he ends up saying the audience is looking for something new. And I think Supergirl ultimately feels like a movie we've seen a million times.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest failure of this movie. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's the worst thing ever. It's that when I was texting you and Garrett, I said that this ranks like 25th. If it was an MCU movie, it would be like the 25th best movie in the MCU. Yeah. MCU's made like 40 or so it's like middle of the pack-ish.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's that low is like this is why this movie's bombing. This is why people are like disappointed. It's just like, I don't need to see this. I'm never going to think about this movie again after this video.
Yeah, it's like I still got to write my review, so I still have to have this movie in my head for a little bit longer, but at the same time, I'm like, I thought I would have like more to write about in my review versus, my head, it exists.
It's just,
It reminds me so much, though, and I feel like it's very much on par with another movie from this summer is The Mandalorian and Grogu.
That's another movie I didn't go watch.
Yeah, not a lot of people did either. But I think the reason both of these movies are bombing versus even like Disclosure Day it is insane that Disclosure Day had a bigger opening weekend than this movie.
Is it insane?
I think it is because Spielberg, I love him. I will always, but he's not, his last two movies before this, for as acclaimed as they were and as much as I love them, they didn't do like great at the box office. And even his return back to like blockbuster movies in the past haven't like blown up like the way they did in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s.
I think to me, we have to reframe how we look at these things, even in the sense that like, what does the modern blockbuster superhero movie go? What is it gonna make? Like, is Spider-Man the exception, and all of these are gonna make 600?
Right, and Batman.
But even the Batman, I know it was like coming just off of like prime COVID, but even Batman made less than 800.
I think that was a COVID thing because I feel like there's so much hype around this movie and people still talk about the Batman. The Penguin was a huge hit on HBO Max. People
But that leads to my next point though, is that that's now stacking successes. So the sequel should be bigger than the last one. I think we're in that era where these smaller characters are going to have to fight for their seat at the table. And I think, like Christopher Nolan said, audiences are craving new things. You know more than anyone that all these random horror movies drop and they become massive hits because they're new, they're interesting, the trailers are good, the word of mouth is good, and they become these big hits. And I think Disclosure Day had a good cast. I mean, Emily Blunt is a good lead, right? It has Spielberg. Yep.
Rising star, people like him. Like he was in a bunch of movies last year, including, I think most notably was Wake Up Dead Man, which he was kind of the lead of that movie. And he was like, everybody who watched that movie was like, wow, he was like incredible.
Yeah, he was great. And so I think that movie was interesting. I feel like ultimately the sin of Supergirl is that it just wasn't that interesting.
But this is why I think Clayface is going to make more money. And I said that from like even earlier this year. And I remember people being like,
yeah, you did.
And I still do, because it is a risk. It's not playing it safe. It doesn't matter that people don't know who Clayface is. People did not know. Curry Barker wasn't like the biggest YouTuber of all time, you know?
Yeah.
He really wasn't. Or Obsession worked because it was different, you know? It took a concept of a monkey's paw, which is very familiar in horror, but it did it so well and in a unique way. Or Backrooms. Yes, that was a viral short film, like web series. But I saw it with two friends. One of the friends had seen the web series like I had. He was the one who got me into the web series. The other friend we were with, my former college roommate, he was like, this is a web series? He's like, what are the Backrooms actually? We were struggling to explain it. He just thought the trailers looked cool. And I feel like that's a vast majority of the people who went to see the Backrooms. They didn't know those shorts. I think the younger generations did, but that movie made a ton of money. Not all of that money is from people who watch him on YouTube. Otherwise, that movie would have made the same amount as the Iron Lung, which did well. The Markiplier is huge. Clayface, yes, he's a lesser. The masses don't know him. They're marketing it like a horror movie. It's coming out around Halloween, and it looks different. They're not doing the Sonyverse thing of he's an anti-hero. Witness the birth of DC's first anti-hero. It's Clay in time. No,
it's not as Clay in time.
They're marketing it like it's different and like it's a swing. Like that trailer has played like once or twice before a movie. It did not play before Supergirl for some reason.
I'm like, why isn't Clayface? Spider-Man didn't play in front of it either for me.
No, it didn't.
So weird.
Shocked Digger did, because there's a lot of families in my audience.
Mm-hmm.
My crowd was still pretty decent, but that's because I saw it in an IMAX. AMC A-List came in clutch.
Nice.
And they have limited seating in like the IMAX screens with the recliners. But it was a lot of families. This movie's kind of dark to take families to. More darker than like your usual PG-13 superhero movie. Like a child dies. Several children like die.
Yeah.
The one kid, it opens with a kid with an axe in his back, and then another girl gets her like throat slit.
Yeah.
It's not like, but Same time, why didn't you market Clayface?
It's a surprisingly dark movie. And the Clayface trailer, it's a Green Band trailer.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know why they didn't. Just so you can have at least the DC logo pop up, and people are like, "Oh yeah, that's another thing I need to go see."
Well, Digger that's the one that they played for both of us, and that's like a montage of Tom Cruise and like 30 seconds of footage. But at the same time, it's like that's a hard R, like Oscar bait movie.
We have to talk about needle drops.
So it just takes some time, Lil Bill. Everything will be all right. All right.
All right. Needle drops are used mainly for nostalgic purposes. It's like, oh, I recognize that song, and your ears perk up, and you kind of like it re-engages you in the audience, right? Yeah. So it's like superhero movies have used needle drops before. Craig Gillespie has used needle drops many, many times.
Yeah.
And there are some needle drops where like it's integral to the movie. Think of Star-Lord and his Walkman and the Awesome Mix Volume 1 that he gets from his movie, right?
Get your love.
Right. Like it's a core part of him as a character, carrying that Walkman. It means something to him, right? And so it's important to the story. The music is now a part of the story. One thing I find weird about this movie is that we give Kara the same thing where she's got like vinyls and stuff that she's playing. She's got a little iPod that she plugs in. For her not to have any connection to Earth and Earth culture, why is Earth music such a big part of her identity?
A part of me thinks it's just like Clark gave her like that when she landed. Maybe that's part of how we bonded, because we know Clark likes music a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just kind of how I took it.
And I think that's a fair read. Like Clark's like, oh, listen to all these awesome bands. This is why she likes a lot of punk rock, if you haven't noticed in her discography. But it's just like, I think again the movie has mixed signals there, because if this is a connection that she has with Clark, why don't we build off of that?
Why didn't
make that a flashback? Yeah, like have him say like, oh, the music's great, and like he gives her a CD, like he gives her a Blondie album. And that's how we get, her wearing the shirt and everything.
And it doesn't take that long to show either. I think I'm going to use a comparison with Captain America in The Winter Soldier. In that opening scene, remember when Falcon is telling Steve?
Yeah.
Telling Steve, it's like, oh, you got to check this out. And Steve just pulls out a little list of things he needs to check out.
Yeah.
To have something like that, it takes like 10 seconds. Could have done that, but they didn't.
Yeah, so it's weird. I think to me, tonally, it's weird that Kara's obsessed with Earth music, and she has no connection to Earth at all.
She wears a shirt more than she wears her suit.
Right. We even go to a space bar, and we have them singing Earth songs there, and it's like, okay, that's weird. And then we get to the big one at the end of the movie. And so this is where I'm like, I feel like we fundamentally don't understand the purpose of why we're doing this. There was a quote from the director again, right, about this needle drop. You want to get into it?
Yeah. Do you want me to pull up the quote?
If you've got it, I think I might have it here already. But I find it crazy that we took 45 songs. It took them like 45 songs. Here it is. Shout out Discord for having this here. In an interview with the Rolling Stone, the interviewer says, tell me about the big slow-mo action scene scored by a slowed-down version of Jimmy Eats World's The Middle with female vocals by Kelty Gray and Kid Motel. So we get a cover of a very popular rock song.
Great song.
Phenomenal song.
I love that song. I saw, because our friend Robert in our group chat was like, are people slamming Jimmy Eat World? Because that song rocks. And I'm like, I would hope not. That song's awesome.
Yeah, but it's not the song. It's the song choice at this point in time. So Anna goes on and says, oh gosh, we went round and round, didn't we? There were a lot of options. Craig then says there were probably the biggest discussions that we've had. It came down to the very last week of production. I got to give James credit for that one. So apparently James Gunn picked this one out. And then they were like, "Did you guys commission this song?" And they said, "No, we just found it. We went through 45 songs that went against this scene." And I can't imagine a world where not one of those other 44 songs couldn't have worked a little bit better.
Literally, the original version of this song would have worked better. I know people would have shit on it, but that song goes so hard for me. I'm like, I'm hyped.
I think what caught me off guard is that it was a cover.
Not and so cover, it's slowed down, like
because the scene is moving in slow mo. That's why I'm like, I think there's two things that went wrong here. One, these needle drops don't make sense for Kara's story.
No.
Two, Craig Gillespie doesn't know how to direct an action sequence, so we had to rely on 1990s slow mo from The Matrix. And three, and Zack Snyder, yeah. And three, we picked a cover. We picked a cover of a popular song. So when it starts playing, you don't go, "Oh, that's a song I like." You go, "Oh, what is this? Why do I know these? Oh, this is a cover and I don't like it."
This morning, I was on TikTok and I saw the first thing that came up. I'm like, "Oh no, I got to be like nice," because there is a girl who was the singer of that cover who's like, "I really appreciate this. Was an honor. Some people have reached out. This is great." And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm not going to even look at the comments." She's probably a lovely person. She has a great voice. It's just that the song didn't fit.
This isn't even an insult. Like, this was a bad cover. So I want to make that known that the song is fine. The cover is fine. It does not fit in this scene. And it reminds me of every James Gunn movie. And I hate that I have to refer back to the sacred text of James Gunn movies. But like, remember Guardians of the Galaxy? Any of them. I don't care which one you pick. Needle drops are important to Guardians of the Galaxy. But when a very important character moment happens in the third act, it's the movie score that is playing.
You know, the best use James Gunn has ever done with score, and it's a song that is in a lot of my playlists, is in The Suicide Squad, his first DC movie, which is Ratism, where it's when Starro is dying and then Ratcatcher 2 flashes back to her and her father.
Yeah.
And you see like Harley Quinn in there, and like that's a similar moment. And like that score is so effective and so like,
yeah, it should have just been the Supergirl suite, like the main theme for Kara. They should have just used that. And I think I want to make sure that we stress that we do understand what they were going for. It's that it's from Ruthie's perspective, and she's the girl who's stuck in the middle of all of this chaos.
I hate that pun so much.
Yeah, I get what they're going for. Ha ha, funny, get it? It's gonna take some time, girl, to be all right. But it just falls flat on its face. To the point where I told you this might be the worst needle drop of all time. I think I stand by that. Like this, I don't think there's ever been a song that has taken me out of a movie.
I have
more
one.
than this. Go.
Cut to credits in Madam Web. It's Dreams by the Cranberries.
You see, that would have required me to watch Madam Web. So
my Letterboxd review I wrote while very drunk because I played a drinking game while watching that with my roommate was Alexa play Dreams by the Cranberries.
Isaac says, honestly, needle drops are to James Gunn like slow-mo shots are for Zack Snyder. If it's good or not, that's up to I don't think
James
that's terrible at all.
Needle drops though. Like I think Martin Scorsese is the best needle drop like director of all time.
Of course. Yeah.
But James Gunn, of any superhero director, I think James Gunn has always done it very, very well.
Yeah.
I think it's just why did this need needle drops this many? That's Craig Gillespie's thing, but is that why James Gunn hired him?
I don't know if that's why he hired him, but I definitely think that Craig Gillespie's probably like, oh, needle drops are my thing. They're also James Gunn's thing. So we're just going to keep doing it. and it becomes part of its identity. And this is what I mean by it feels like reheated nachos, because Craig Gillespie, it feels like it's a James Gunnism when it's not. That's just Craig Gillespie's style. That is his style.
Yeah.
But to the common viewer, they're going to be like, oh, this feels like Guardians again.
I want to say one thing without me looking like the Josh Whedon wearing the "This is what a feminist looks like" t-shirt. Why wasn't this directed by a woman?
I asked you this initially when he was announced on Insider Chatter, and we were kind of just like, we'll see what he does. But yeah, there's no reason that I can tell.
Even the old regime of DC went out of their way to find a female director for Wonder Woman. You know, Marvel went out of their way to find a female director for Captain Marvel, but for the first one, it didn't fully work. It was directing duo, but still female fronted. You know, with Barbie, when Margot Robbie was pitching it around, they wanted a female director. Or even when during its different iterations, they're very adamant about that. Why is Craig Gillespie like? There's a lot of good like female directors who probably could have done well with this. But
you can say the same thing about Cruella. Like, he did good with Cruella. I like Cruella. But
yeah.
Like, why didn't he direct Cruella? I don't know.
I get with
fashion
Cruella,
movie. I don't know.
I get with Cruella a little more because it's like the I, Tonya, I think, connection of making this complicated figure, and I think that's what they were trying to do with Cruella as well.
But I guess I would reverse that back to you though and say that's probably the intention with Kara and how different she is from Clark. That might be the same reasoning. I don't think it needed to be, but you know, they probably were like, oh, he can do complicated female characters. And one thing I do respect about this movie, again, I gave this a positive review on my Letterboxd, but the more that they talk, the more frustrating it gets. I do appreciate that this movie allows Kara to be imperfect. That's something that has been very hard for female characters in these types of films.
Especially in superhero movies, because, I mean...
Yeah.
I think... like Captain Marvel, they don't really do...
Yeah.
I think they do it well with Miss Marvel a lot, of her just being still, like, a kid. You know?
Yeah, I guess when I even think of Miss Marvel, as much as I love Iman Vellani's performance, they play it as, but she's all good. And I appreciate that Kara can have flaws, clear flaws to her character.
Or things like people would view as like unlikable, but there's still like a charisma to it that draws you. Like they're not afraid of making you disagree with the character.
Yeah, and that's something that like Batman gets to do all the time, but it's like we don't allow Captain Marvel to do that. You know, it's like I appreciate that Kara is very, very flawed in this story, and she learns to be better. And I like that the message is you don't have to be perfect; you just have to be good. You know, and I think that is something that I appreciate in the comic even more so. I appreciate that here in this film as well, and I think Millie Alcock's performance really hammers it home. I think Gillespie can capture flawed women very well with his previous stories. Again, though, his lack of direction on the action sequences, the random needle drops, I just think he was a poor fit. And I want to get the script. I want to get my hands on this movie's script because the writer of this movie is writing Wonder Woman and the Teen Titans. Do we think that this was a script issue? Do you think that we can salvage whatever we have going on here? Do you think that they need to get new writers for those projects? Because we talked about this months ago of like they're putting all the chips on the table towards this writer who doesn't have a ton of big budget experience. Now that we're here, what are your thoughts?
I mean, they hired Andy Muschietti for The Brave and the Bold right after The Flash tanked and everybody hated it.
You're so right.
And I think they want to learn from their mistakes, but I also don't think this is entirely the script's fault. I think this movie was chopped up, and I don't think Craig Gillespie was the right director to really adapt. You know, I think the script and the screenwriter and the director, if it's not a writer-director duo, you know, it's a trade-off, and they're supposed to like become like harmonious together. I look at this is a completely different movie, but Aaron Sorkin's script for The Social Network and David Fincher's direction of that movie.
Yeah.
They blend together. They just go together so well. And that's kind of part of the reason why The Social Reckoning looks like hot dog bleep. I don't want to get you demonetized.
You've already said shit on this episode already. It's fine.
It looks like dog shit,
There you go. Because
you don't have Fincher, you just have Aaron Sorkin, who has the sauce as a writer. I guess he used to. Not as much anymore. Sorry. But never really had the sauce as a director. And I think that Craig Gillespie and Anna something, I just don't think they were a good match. I don't know if that means we need to give her another shot at Wonder Woman. I think you bring in another female writer, who is more experienced.
Yeah.
But, if they want to try her again with like something smaller or even like a TV show, like as a showrunner,
See, I'm concerned, mainly because, again, Mr. James Gunn, we've said a million times, he talks too much. If you take anything away from this, James, stay off of social media for good. I'm going to just read some James Gunn quotes from like a year ago, because the internet keeps all the receipts. He says on Threads in a random post, not even a reply, "We won't greenlight a film until we have a finished script we're happy with. And in general, we won't cast a film until the script is finished. That's why some projects are moving faster than anticipated and others are moving slower. It's always going to be quality first, no matter what." And there was another quote in an interview. James Gunn said, "The problem with superhero movies is that they are really lazy and they have bad third acts and there's no rhyme or reason on what's happening on screen. So it's always quality first, quality first." So my question is, did we get lazy and we pump out this movie that's half-baked? Or does James Gunn not have an eye? This goes back to what I was saying before about this is the first movie that he's not directing. So it's very concerning. I'm not going to blame one person for the outcome of this movie being mediocre. But I do think they need to check their process a little bit before they move on to after Man of Tomorrow. I'm sure the James Gunn movie will be fine, like it always is. But also, maybe he needs to stop making movies and be a better producer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna stop and just give you this quote from Peter Safran from the BBC earlier today. He says, quote, "I want to rebuild the trust of the audience, which I think DC has lost over the years. We have a big responsibility on our shoulders, but we're thrilled with how it's going so far." I feel like that trust was kind of working its way back. Superman was great. Summer of Superman was phenomenal. Peacemaker was fine. I thought we were building to something and like finally shedding the DCEU stench off of us, and we're back here. We're back here with Supergirl.
I don't even think it's a DC problem. I just think it's superheroes. A lot of superheroes besides Spider-Man and Batman in general.
This movie, according to the Wrap, is gonna make about $200 million total, which is the same amount as The Flash. It has opened lower than Morbius and The Marvels.
I hate the fact that this opened lower than Morbius.
I do too. It's nowhere near as bad. This is a watch.
Everybody who paid a ticket to see Morbius and were excited about it.
It was Morbid time, Nate. Come on.
Unless you're seeing it ironically, if you legit thought that movie was going to be good, you're an idiot. I know somebody who did. He might be watching. I don't know. I don't care. From college, you're an idiot for thinking that was going to be good.
You hear that, guys? Nate thinks you're an idiot. They're going to love that when we
Morbius was going to be good.
I'm not saying that you're wrong for calling them an idiot. I'm just confirming that, like, we have this on record. This is gonna be in the TikTok. If you watched Morbius in theaters, unironically, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I stand by it.
I mean, we talked about even like Madam Web before the trailer came out. That was awful. Remember when they released like the leaked plot and we're like, this actually sounds kind of fun. And then the trailer came out and we're like, this is terrible.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be like dumb fun, but it wasn't. I find it interesting. I'm scrolling through the Wraps weekend box office article, and I find it interesting that 59% of the audience who saw this movie was male. And I mean, it's a superhero movie, so that's fine. But I feel like it should have gotten a higher percentage of female audience members.
I would have expected that too.
And then 65% were over the age of 25. So I honestly think you're right that, like, maybe and I've said this before, I think the younger generation just doesn't really care. It makes it sound so old when I say it that way, but like people who are like 24 and younger, all they've known was the MCU their entire life, because we're going on almost 20 years of Marvel movies. Come 2028, it's going to be 20 years since Iron Man. I think the novelty is just like, this is all that we've known. I don't need to watch all of these.
Yeah.
That's what I think it comes down to.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. We want back rooms, though. I know back rooms.
Yeah.
and I get it. Like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I just hope they don't overreact.
One thing that gives me some hope is that James Gunn and Peter Safran are not going to overreact. If this was the old regime, we're giving the reins to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, man. Restore the Black Adam verse. But I feel like they know Superman Man of Tomorrow is going to be good. Is that why they dropped the Woman of Tomorrow title from Supergirl? Is because we're calling the next movie? I just realized that. Like, wait. Okay. We know that the next Superman movie is going to be good. And hopefully Clayface, like you were saying, surprises.
Yeah.
We'll see. Thank you guys for watching us live. Thank you for watching us in the VOD. If you enjoyed this, there's so many other episodes of the Chatter After. There's a whole Superman trilogy. I'll probably put a playlist there and just make a big old Superman playlist for you guys to check all those out. Until next time, keep watching movies.
Bye.
Peace.